Hey everyone, Pastor George here with today's Theolog, and today I wanted to talk about this game I've been playing from the mind of Josh Sawyer, and it is a wonderful little narrative game called Pentiment. And I know that this is kind of weird, right? I've talked about movies on the channel. I've reviewed movies. I've reviewed TV shows, but I never reviewed a game as far as I can remember. And so I decided to play this game, and this is a narrative game, and it actually has quite a bit of interesting things to say about faith and about religion, and that's kind of why I decided to talk about it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the game first. So this is like I said, a narrative game, so you can kind of think of it as like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but way more interactive. And there's a lot of reading in it. I mean, you're going to see some of my gameplay that I made a compilation video of, and you can see that it's a lot of reading, but it's good. It's well written, and so it's enjoyable to at least to do the reading. But you play as, in this game, you take on the role of a journeyman artist named Andreas Mahler, and I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but you are an artist working for an abbey over a small town in southern Bavaria, or the Bavaria region, called Tossing, and it's just a kind of I believe it's a fictional town. I haven't looked into it, but I think it is, and it basically serves as a stand-in for any small medieval town of this period, and this is occurring in the year it turns over a period of 25 years. This story, but it starts in 1518, and you follow Andreas Mahler and others of the town as they go over this 25-year period, and you see your changes, what you choose affects things and stuff like that. So it's really interesting. Oh, and the art style is gorgeous, which I'll talk about, but I just wanted to see that you guys see this cute little girl. Anyway, so I really was interested in this game, and it was something I've been looking forward to, because again, this is like, I'm interested in medieval history, I'm interested in Reformation history, I'm interested in religion. So like, I was all over this when I saw that it was announced, and I've been following it closely since, and so I've been playing it over the past week. One of the things I love about this is, as you can see, it's done right. It doesn't look like, maybe you played games, or you've seen other people play video games, kids, grandkids, where it's like super hyper realistic graphics, so they try to make it look real. But here you can see that the art style here is supposed to be a very much inspired by medieval and early modern art, like woodcuts and stuff like that, which is, it looks beautiful. And there's so many small details, like if you notice the way that my character walks in this, he's the guy with the red hat. If you notice the way that he walks in places where you'll see it, you'll notice he steps with the ball of his foot first, which is a small detail that you see a lot in medieval art. And a lot of people might think that's weird, but that's how people walked, because shoes were not very good, and it's much more safer and better if you step with the ball of your foot rather than your heel. Shoes have made us kind of lazy. So I just love that. I love all those small little details, and of course all the historical tidbits and stuff. But you do not have to be a historian to enjoy this game. You can go into it and you'll find lots to enjoy about it. And they provide like a little section where you can read about very certain things that the characters are mentioning, in case you have no religious or historical knowledge. They define all the terms for you. And so you can see just that how they've done that, and that's wonderful. And it's a murder mystery story, essentially. And a murder happens, and you, as this guy who you get to kind of customize a little bit, just kind of little parts of his past and his personality, and you try to solve the murder because one of your good friends is framed for it. And then the story takes off. So I won't go on any further than that. But that's essentially what is the driving force of this, and how your choices during these things affect the future. Now to get to the part where I brought this to the church. So one of the interesting things here is just the history and stuff behind it, because most games just are released and there's a lot of hype and everything like that. But this game came with a reading list. At least the guy behind it, a guy named Josh Sawyer, who's made a lot of good games in the past, mostly role-playing games. or nearly all role-playing games. He released a reading list, and one of the books is one I have. I actually have two copies of this, so if anyone wants one, um, come to my office and you can have it. It's a book called Peasant Fires, and the reason I have two copies is because I was required to read it in college for a Reformation history class, and again in seminary for a Reformation history class, and I thought I lost my other copy, so I bought two of them. And it's a story about a guy in the 1400s who, and it's a true story. It's there's it's someone who, it's a historian who looked at the narratives or the sources that were left, and he took those and he made a little narrative book out of it in order to introduce lay people, lay historians, or people who aren't into this type of stuff into the book, or into that type of history. And so he tells the story, and it's really good, and it's about a guy who says that he's gotten a vision, and there's a lot of social commentary wrapped up in what he's saying, and he tries to lead people in a revolt against the authorities. And at least a lot of this is it's about who you trust and who you listen to. Do you listen to the church authorities, to the secular authorities, to the the unheard voices of peasants, right? And a lot of that is in the game as well. But one of the things, the reason that this is required is because this piece of history that this game is taking place in is a tremendous time shift in the narrative, right? This is like when the medieval world is morphing into the modern world that we know, and you even see this in the game. But like one of the easiest things this does is in the way that people keep time. It moves from being centered around the times that the monastery uses, right? The times for prayer, to a clock, and the standardization of time and things like that. And you start here, like even in this conversation that my guy is having with this character, you see that they're talking about like Martin Luther and things like that. Like 1518 is 1 year, and by the time this game takes place, it's only actually a few months after Martin Luther has posted the 95 Theses. So you have the Reformation starting basically in the year that this game takes place, and you get to see how that affects things as the years go on, and it's really cool, and how characters react to all this type of stuff, and the social political things that are going on. But one of the things I think that the reason I wanted to talk about this is because as Christians we rarely get to see kind of this stuff that's there. And do I think they did a perfect job when it comes to depicting like Christians at this time? I don't, like, obviously everyone's going to nitpick for their own thing. I don't think it's quite accurate. I think it's really good. Like, I'd probably say like an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. I do think that they are a little, everyone has their own biases. And so I don't think it's completely perfect, but I think it's largely pretty good. And we don't really get to see that depicted in a lot of media, especially kind of these arguments that people were having around the time of the Reformation. Now, it doesn't go too deep into that. That's not the point of the game. It's not to talk about the Reformation. I almost wish it was. That would have been a lot of fun. Just go around debating people. But no, it's about the murder mystery, and backdrop kind of helps to serve that. But I wanted to talk about that because I just found it so interesting to see that the Protestant faith, obviously we're Presbyterians, but we're all part of the Protestant branch of the Latin Church, is that, like, it came about in a very certain way. And one of the major themes in this game, you can see me pet a cat here, you can do a lot of stuff. One of the major themes of this game is that when it comes to religion, is like, who gets to tell you what to believe? And who, like, can you trust people with the truth by putting it into their hands, or can you not? Do you hold things secret and sacred and all these other types of things? And that's actually like a really major thrust of the narrative, and I think that is the tension that's going on at this time period, as people are stressing about that, right? You have the reformers and the Christian humanists who are coming out and they're saying, hey, we have to put this stuff into the hands of people and they need to deal with it, and they need to hear and see what the Bible says and what the church fathers have said and all these other types of things. Then you have other people who are saying, no, you can't give people that much power. You have to, can't, they have to, everyone's going to be a church unto themselves type of thing. And you see all of this play out in the game, and I think it's really good. And obviously, as Presbyterians, as Reformed Protestants, we come down on the side of saying, no, we have to give people the conscience of being able to make these decisions, reading the Word and being convicted by it, and their reaction to that, and how does that affect you and things. I thought that was like really a really powerful part of this. And of course, there's lots of fun moments in it as well, and the art is beautiful, and your choices make small changes, and it's interesting to see. As a work of art, I think it's great. As a game, if you're into narrative stuff, it's really good. In terms of if you only think of things economically, this game costs $20, and I spent about 12 and a half hours, almost 13 hours playing this game. So that's pretty good. In terms of $1 per hour cost, you can't beat that. So I just thought it was really good. I'm not saying everyone should go out and buy it, but all the little touches, like even here you can see that the way that certain characters look, like if you look at the speech bubbles, the religious characters have like this gothic type that they use, and like the peasants have like a worse kind of handwritten script, and the guy who's the guy who prints stuff at town has like block letters. It's so good. So I don't know, it's just there's so much love that was poured into this game, clearly. And even if I disagree with some of the ways that it frames things, I think it's great. So I would recommend, if you're into this, or someone who's into video games, to give it a shot. And I think you'd like it quite a bit. So I will see you guys tomorrow for our Bible study recap, and I will see you guys on a not this Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, but next week to do more Theolog stuff. So hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and peace out.